Hey everyone, I'm Daniel Cohn, the editorial director here at Spin, and it's rare that you get a chance to speak with rock legends and rock royalty, but we're here with the Zombies today. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, pretty good. Thank you.
We're doing good.
Yeah.
How's everything been going? It's been a big week.
It's been a huge week, and we've been doing, 4 or 5 things every day. We've got a showcase tomorrow, and that's the end of our week then. But it's been great.
Fantastic. How's Austin's been treating you guys well?
Yeah, very well.
Really good.
Actually.
And this is actually the 3rd time we've been back to South by Southwest.
Really?
Yeah, we really love it. It's great, but it's very full on. But it's fun.
You guys played a killer show last night.
Oh, did you see
Thank
it?
you.
Cool.
It was awesome, and yeah, we're here to talk about issues, and an issue that I know is very close to you guys is mental health.
Absolutely.
So when you've been on the road as rock legends for doing it like you've been doing it, how have you been able to properly maintain your mental health while on tour? Because it just seems like from when you started to now, like it's been destigmatized where things are more normal if you're stressed or tired or things like that. So how have you seen things like evolve over the years?
Well, you're right. It's certainly much more open. It's an open question now, and people don't get shy or embarrassed about talking about mental health issues. And I think that's absolutely great because it's so prevalent in the world. It really, really is. I mean, I've got personal experiences in my family of it. Things are generally treated well, but there are real drawbacks in the system that people who are well mentally don't really lock onto. A lot of mental health now, certainly in the UK, it was taken out of the hospitals, which I think is generally a good thing, and good plans are put into place, but they're not always followed up with the idea that the people who do have mental health problems sometimes cannot just be left. I mean, for instance, if somebody is supposed to go round and treat somebody else and they're not well, the people that are supposed to go around to treat are not well, they just leave it. And then suddenly, if there are 2 or 3 days when they should be getting their medication or whatever, and it doesn't happen, they're very, very vulnerable. And that can be the real drawbacks in the system, So it's a huge amount of space to fill up, I think.
And I think that musicians are particularly vulnerable in this respect. The thing that comes to mind is that you can be adored 1 month, and frankly you can be yesterday's news the next month, and that can, for some people, I mean, it's not easy for anyone, but for some people that can be really traumatic. And they will need help to get over that. I mean, I would always say that anyone who wants to get in the music business that's the first thing they've got to learn is how to survive, because it's tough. Music's beautiful and everything about performing is wonderful, but it can get very traumatic when you achieve perhaps great success in a very short period of time, and then shortly after that you can be forgotten. And a lot of people do struggle.
And it's a weirdly structured life as well. I mean, you might be travelling, say, in a vehicle for 6 or 7 hours and just being very quiet, and the whole activity is very, very low, and that's how it should be, because otherwise you drive yourself mad. But then suddenly in the evening, you have to get this huge rush of adrenaline, and you have to hit your maximum, you have to hit your peak. And that might be for a couple of hours, and then after that you've got to wind down somehow, and so the pattern of your day is extraordinary, really, and this could be week after week, day after day, week after week.
And one of the problems after that is that you get home. All musicians, of course, want to get home, but at 8 o'clock the adrenaline starts building because your body's telling you it's showtime.
Right.
But there is no show. So I've always noticed that when I get home, the first 2 or 3 weeks can be quite challenging, because your body clock is still on that time when you were touring, and you're getting ready for showtime, but there's no show, and it can be quite difficult to adjust.
What advice would you give to a younger musician who's coming up and is just facing mental health challenges from exactly what you just described? That's the perfect way to sum it up.
Well, you know, I'm not an authority, so it's difficult for me to say, but I often say this kind of thing to people, and that is a lot of it is common sense, you know. You must get plenty of sleep when you're on the road, and it's not always easy. It's plenty of sleep, eat well. This doesn't sound like rock and roll, does it?
No.
But eat well and stay hydrated. You can get so hydrated on the road, and that's the first step, I really do think. And then the other thing is to remember that this can be a lifetime's career. Don't get too carried away with a hit record, or you know, hit records are fun and it's something to build on. It's something to build a career on, but think in terms of careers and think in terms of a lifetime career rather than hit records, because hit records come and go, and the people that are associated with those hit records, I'm afraid, come and go as well, and you have to accept that.
And the troughs and peaks, even on a daily basis, can be so high and so low, and this is very hard when you're young, particularly when you're young, but try not to remedy them with chemical things and you know, like too much drinking, using drugs, etc., because in the long run that can really not be a good thing for you. I mean, that's obvious advice, but I know it's incredibly hard because of the peaks and troughs that Colin's already talked about during the day. You know, but
one of the things that's quite intrigued me is that certainly in our band, the Zombies, no one drinks
anymore.
No, and I've noticed it with a lot of classic rock bands. You know how it's rumoured in the 60s and the 70s, all the things that went on. I haven't seen anything like that at all, because everyone's trying to look after themselves, and
that's at this stage.
Yeah, it's the only way to get through it, really, and it's not. You're not taking the fun out of it. It's not taking, because the fun is the performance.
Right.
The fun is writing and recording songs. So it's not taking the fun out of it. It's just being sensible, really.
It's maintaining your career.
It's maintaining your career. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, thanks for stopping by. Is there anything else you want to tell everyone out there?
Whatever you do for real, and try and keep a stable line, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.